Susie.
Hello.
Hi, so Susie, tell me a bit about yourself. Let's start with who you are, where you live, how you got here.
So I am Susie Chan. I'm 44 years old.
No.
I live in Hampshire, and I like to run a very long way for fun.
You haven't always run a long way for fun, have you?
No, not at all. In fact, I was averagely sporty at school, I would say. I think my PE teachers would struggle to remember me at all. That's not because it's a very long time ago, but because I just was incredibly average. I sort of did a little bit of short distance running on PE and sports day, but nothing to write home about. And then I didn't do anything at all from leaving school up until the age of 35. In fact, what I did do was party quite hard, drink lots of booze, smoke lots of fags, and just be generally quite unhealthy.
How did that work for you?
It was fun. No regrets. No regrets at all until I think I was about 35 years old. And you know, I was a mum by this point, and I just didn't feel great. And maybe it was an early midlife crisis, but I just thought I can't really carry on being this unhealthy. And I think I can remember thinking I'm in denial that I was in fact a smoker at all. You know, I'd be like, I don't really smoke that much, you know, maybe 3 cigarettes a day. But I realised I'd smoked for 18 years of my life, which was half my life. And that was a bit of a wake-up call. And then I just wasn't at all fit. And I thought maybe it's time to try and be a little bit fitter in life.
So, what did you do? This is a bit of a loaded question, so I have to know the answer to this one. But so what did you do? What was your thinking?
Well, do you know what?
And what are your actions?
Do you know what I actually did? I actually, the very first thing I did for fitness was I actually joined, I was a little bit lonely, I think, and I actually joined a local fitness club, a boot camp type thing, and it was absolutely terrifying. And it was in the local park, and it was all, you know, as you can imagine, burpees and sort of, you know, shuttle runs, and it was equally grim, but there was a real good bunch of people, and they were all very enabling. And I used to go once a week, and that was it. That was my fitness thing, once a week, to this boot camp thing. And they were just a really nice group of people, and occasionally we'd do some running. And so I did that probably for about a year, and I kind of offset it all with drinking and smoking still. So I don't know if there were any benefits, but somewhere along that sort of year, my brother wanted to do a marathon. He wanted to sort of tick it off as a one-off bucket list thing, and he basically press ganged me into agreeing to do a local half marathon with him, and that really was the start of the real running journey, I think, at that point.
So how did you go from half marathons to some of the incredible distances you do now? What was that journey? How did that journey start? What broadened your horizon to think, do you know what, I can do more than
Do you know what?
half?
I'll be really, really honest with you, and it was mainly out of ignorance. It wasn't. I didn't have this huge self-belief. I didn't have, you know, I just there was just a tiny part of me that thought, oh, maybe I could do this sort of thing. So I went from doing a half marathon, my very first half marathon, at the very end of 2010, and then I did my first marathon in 2011, and then somewhere along that journey I read in Runner's World about a race called Marathon des Sables, and I can remember reading it, and I couldn't even compute something like that. I didn't even know such things existed. It just seemed so far-fetched, ludicrous, and also slightly alluring. And I remember I read up on it a lot, and then there was just this tiny part of me that thought maybe you can do it. And then I asked a few people, and they all said, you're mad, you can't do that, it's ridiculous. And to be honest with you, it kind of fueled the fire. The more they said I couldn't, the more I was really intrigued, and I signed up to the long wait list, thinking I wouldn't get in, thinking I would get the emails that come out, just the information, so I could learn more about this race, so someday in the future I could do it. And then, to my absolute horror, I got in the race. And that was just absolutely
Be careful what you wish for, right?
Panicking. I was proper panicking about it, because I thought, actually, I can't do this. And I went through this sort of all these emotions, and being like, maybe I could, no you can't, maybe I could. And I did that for off and on for 4 weeks, and then I started training quite hard. Yeah, it was an interesting stage of my life as well, and I kind of latched onto it as a real positive thing to focus on, and it became bigger and bigger and more meaningful that I made the start line of that race.
So I seem to remember you telling me once about the conversation around financing of this.
Yeah,
You could
yeah.
quickly tell us about that.
I was so skint, right? I was so skint at that time in my life, and you know, it's a bit of an outlay, that race. And I was like, oh God, you know, I really want to do it, but I can't afford it. And I went, and I thought I'd do it for charity, because you know that would be another reason not to stop and to keep going. And I went to my bank manager and asked him if he would lend me the money for the race entry and for some kit. And I sat there and explained what it was. Like, yes, it's running through a desert for 6 days, self-sufficient. And after a sort of a long pause, he said he'd lend me the money, which was fantastic. So I said I was doing it for charity. And then when I got home, he'd cancelled my life insurance policy. So, I'm not sure he had faith that I was going to finish, but he lent me the money.
And so you've gone from there to, and that was your first ultra, was it?
It wasn't my first ultra. Well, it was the first one that I signed up to and got into. But once I knew I'd made the start list, I actually subsequently signed up to a couple of ultra marathons. Actually, go through this exact point where I'm standing was one called Pilgrim's Ultra, which is a 2-day stage race along the North Downs. But the very first one I did was called, what was it called? It was around the Isle of Wight in 2 days, and I can remember thinking that was the acid test for me. I trained quite hard to do it. It was 70 miles in 2 days, and I can remember thinking, if I can't run around the Isle of Wight in June, then I'm going to die in the Sahara Desert. And of course I did it, and it was incredible. And that was the real moment I thought, yeah, I'm going to make the start line.
And the Isle of Wight's not flat either, as you probably found out.
It wasn't flat, but it's just amazing what you can do. It's just amazing what you can do if you really want something, actually. And you know, I didn't actually have the confidence when I started that race that I would finish, but you know, you have good people around you, people that can enable you and help you and sort of gee you along. And just when you think you actually can't take another step, you actually can. And that very first race, taught me that.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you, this is closing down this. So what advice would you give to somebody who thinks that ultra running is outside their potential?
It's not outside anyone's potential. I mean, I'm living testimony to that. I mean, I genuinely got out of breath going up a flight of stairs. I was very unfit. I can remember my very first mile. Actually, I don't even know if it was a mile. I think it was a mile. I can remember the very first time I ran and not being able to run for more than 2 minutes without stopping and sort of clutching my sides. It's not out of anybody's reach at all. It's never too late. The thing which you've got to have with any race actually is to want to make the finish, is to really want it, and that's all you need. And the rest you can work on. You can work on your training. You know, you can find your tribe of people that are going to help you get there. And the running community is so supportive. There's such a huge network of people, so it's never too late. And just find a good bunch of people who help you get to the start.
And if there was one ultra you say to that people should aim for, what would that be?
Oh, well, I love multi-stage races. It's where I pretty much started. 100 milers, there's something very special about those two, because you kind of go to a special place in your own head and come out the other side. They're magical. But there is one race, and I'm not just saying this because I'm talking to you, Steve, but there is one race which just has a real firm place in my heart, and that is the Marathon des Sables. And that is because it is a magical race. It's really hard to say without sounding cheesy, but it literally changed my life. I thought I'd do that race and then come home and then never do anything like that again, and it just opened the doors to another world. And you know, I'm standing here however many years later, 7 years later, you know, as a completely different person, completely different career, a completely different positive outlook on life, and it is just a wonderful race, a wonderful race, and I've returned to it many times.
So one last question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us something about you that no one would know, or maybe would never. Would it surprise you?
Okay, so I have I did a 20-year career in museums and galleries, and I'm actually really handy. You know, I had to spend a lot of my life using power tools, but what you may or may not know is I passed my driving license for a forklift truck, and I've also had a license for erecting a scaffold tower. So you know, pretty handy in those DIY situations.
Does it come in handy again? Have you used it since?
No, not at all. I've never had access to it. I'd love to drive a forklift truck though, because they are huge fun.
Okay, Susie, thank you very much. Cheers.